none of these candidates are perfect, obviously. And I can agree and disagree. There's some issues where I think Bernie Sanders has limits as a candidate. Clearly, I have many disagreements with Hillary Clinton. I think on balance, if these were similar candidates in terms of their policy profiles and the moral case they were making and the history they had, I would say it's time to have a woman president. Like, it's past time. It's ludicrous. It's embarrassing. Like the Pakistani woman prime minister in the 1980s, okay? Like, it is time to have a woman president. Of course. But it's not time to have Carly Fiorina. And it is not time to just make that decision in and of itself. In my view, I think it's even more urgently important to have an actual progressive president. And I have to say that this Bernie bro thing and this attack on Bernie Sanders has become such disingenuous bullshit that it not only is a problem in the context of this primary, it's starting to create a danger for Hillary Clinton in a general election if she is the Democratic nominee. Now, starting in the summer, when Bernie Sanders was confronted by Black Lives Matter activists, and the first time he was at Netroots, he didn't handle it well. And we on this show said Bernie's going to get to the right place on these issues, and it's great that activists are protesting. They should protest all of the Democratic candidates. They should inject themselves in this primary because there is a historical emergency of racial oppression and brutality in this country, and there is a present emergency of mass violence and crisis as perpetuated on on Black and Hispanic community by the state and by the police, and that this is connected with everything that Bernie Sanders is talking about. He just made that connection there, by the way. So protest him. And Bernie Sanders should be out ahead again on the Hyde Amendment and everything else. Absolutely. This is not the election of people worshiping. This is the election of policy. And throughout this campaign, there have been people, including friends of mine, who have written articles and pushed Facebook posts and done everything else where, first of all, on one hand, they go and they say Bernie Sanders is an unhinged radical for proposing actual liberalism. I know unhinged radicals. Okay? This is not that. This is a liberal dude. Any self-respecting Democrat who isn't just, defrauding pension funds at some hedge fund, but also supports marriage equality, should support strong health care for people. They should support reining in the financial sector. They should support free college. These aren't radical ideas. They're obvious ideas, and anybody with any type of center-left to progressive inclination should support them. And then on the flip side, people go out and they find these quotes from social media of people being idiots, which is really quite an accomplishment because in my experience of social media, I never see people write stupid things. So I don't like the research capacity to go into this is fucking impressive. I mean, you found somebody who wrote something misogynist on Reddit. Wow. That's the sort of, research ingenuity that I just lack. I don't know how you find these things.
It's harder to find something that isn't misogynist. If you do
exactly.
that, then send it.
Exactly.
Send it. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you find...
On Reddit, I'm saying. Just not in the general world. Maybe.
On Twitter, wherever on social media. And if you find something that, a Donald Trump supporter has said that's bigoted, well, guess what? It reflects his campaign. If you find something that Ted Cruz supporter had said that's bigoted, it reflects his campaign. Should I go out and Twitter and Reddit mine for anti-Semitic comments about Bernie Sanders that some Hillary Clinton supporter made somewhere? Two people can play that game. When people said Bernie Sanders supporters were being condescending, when they were ignoring gender issues, when they were ignoring racial issues, I was right there with them. This is not about making excuses for anybody. But at a certain point, you have to start saying, has Bernie Sanders' campaign responded vigorously on racial and gender issues? Absolutely. Has any of these examples of rampant misogyny ever come from anything he has actually said, or his campaign advisors have said, or media personalities who support him have said? No, no, no. It comes from social media examples concocted to create a bullshit case that doesn't exist. And then we're in a bizarro world where on one hand, Bernie Sanders is an unhinged radical, and we need to accommodate Wall Street, and we can't really do anything, and it's all crazy. And then on the other hand, well, obviously Bernie Sanders does not have the most intricate and sophisticated understanding of the intricacies of race, gender, and inequality, so he's just forget it, fuck him. When did Hillary Clinton ever support reparations? I mean, I saw people sharing, granted, this is more anecdotal, but I saw people sharing Ta-Nehisi Coates' piece on Bernie and the limits of his political imagination when it came to race, which had some valid points in it, no doubt, as almost like a loop around to support Hillary Clinton. Let me tell you something. Bernie Sanders never said, as Hillary Clinton said in a 1999 op-ed, too many of those on welfare have known nothing but dependency all their lives and would have found it difficult to make the transition to work on their own. This is in light of Bill Clinton signing a brutal welfare reform bill that increased poverty in minority communities. Hillary Clinton defended welfare reform again in a 2000 column. Since we first asked mothers to move from welfare to work, millions of mothers have made the transition from dependency to dignity. Floor-level wages in jobs that have disappeared post-recession. Then she said, and this is, in some ways even more on the nose, in 2002, when Congress was debating whether to reauthorize the Clinton-era reforms, Hillary Clinton said, now that we've said that these people are no longer deadbeats, they're actually being more productive. How do we keep them there? Bernie Sanders, on the other hand, voted against the 1996 welfare reform legislation as a member of the House and strongly denounced it as cruel. Here's how he described it in his book. Quote, this bill, which combines an assault on the poor, women, and children of minorities and immigrants, is a grand slam of scapegoating legislation and appeals to the frustrations and ignorance of the American people along a wide spectrum of prejudices. So, all of a sudden, those two quotes have become irrelevant to apparently some guy on Reddit who's like, Bernie's like awesome, bro. But like Hillary Clinton's like a chick and whatnot, so screw her. It is mind-blowingly disingenuous. And look, I'm someone who believes, I've said this really clearly, Democrat needs to stay in the White House. If Hillary Clinton is the general election nominee, I will support her, not just in the sense of begrudgingly. I will use media platforms that I am on to say, yeah, you should vote for Hillary Clinton. And Hillary Clinton has been demonized, and she has been the misogynist assaults all over the place with her. And she's an intelligent person, and she's a hardworking person, and she has some worthwhile ideas, and it's fine. But there are going to be a lot of other people in this process who are going to say, I'm out here supporting someone who's authentic, who's a real progressive, who cares about my life in a way that's unparalleled in modern presidential politics. And they're not going to appreciate the fact that you've tried to turn him into a racist and a, Che Guevara with bad hair or whatever the fuck this dumb branding campaign on him is. Go ahead.
It reminds me of that Michelle Alexander point about the media's failure in getting through the issues here, because the day before Iowa, what are we talking about? We're talking about Bernie Bros and a book blurb that Bernie Sanders gave like a number of years ago. Right. And those are the two issues that drove coverage yesterday. Right. The day before, one of the most important primaries in a long time.
Right. And let's get back again to actual reality. In even as recently as 2002, when it was politically advantageous for white politicians to call people on welfare deadbeats who were Democrats. Hillary Clinton was all over it. And that's not just rhetoric. That's a policy that affects millions of people negatively. Bernie Sanders said, this is a prejudicial and cruel bill that plays to our worst instincts. What a bro. What a fucking bro. What an asshole. I mean, do you hear the misogyny in that? It is so disgusting and disingenuous. Run a campaign on the merits. And don't alienate people that you're going to need to show up. And, Matt made a point before, which I want to echo, which has been very true of this campaign, which is that, a lot of people, again, outside of a Reddit thread, have been enormously generous to Hillary Clinton in this campaign. I didn't come out in the beginning of this campaign and start saying, hey, do you remember Hillary, from being on the board of directors of Walmart through voting for the invasion of Iraq, through backing, bankruptcy bills that were so awful. That's what got Elizabeth Warren to fully engage in politics, through supporting every type of bad trade agreement imaginable, through supporting welfare reform and calling people deadbeats, to, Bill Clinton, who she is a political partner of, signing the death warrant of a mentally incapacitated black man when he was running for president. I didn't bring any of this stuff up. And a lot of people didn't. They just said, look, I'm progressive, so I want the more progressive candidate to win. And I agree that we need more rigorous regulation on Wall Street. I agree that we need more robust reform of the healthcare system. So therefore, pretty obviously, I support Bernie Sanders. It's not. This is not that radical thing to figure out. But if the attacks on him are going to do some type of knockoff pseudo-intersectional argument to say that he's actually some stealth misogynist or racist, even though, comparably speaking, this guy has one of the most admirable records you can imagine, including rhetorically. And then you're going to fuse that with, well, we can't really do anything. Fuck out of here. It's disgusting. It's offensive. And it's really going to put people, I mean, if it puts me off this much, and I will vote for her, and I will support her, it's going to seriously put off millennials, people who are engaging in this in a genuine way and aren't used to this level of nonsense. And certainly not from somebody that they may well have to end up voting for and supporting.